What up guys, Justin here of Justin Speaks in Tongues Language Learning, and this video is going to cover a little bit of a review on Clozemaster, which is an app for language learning. And you can see I have up the Greek course that I have been working through. I have a streak now of 47 days in a row. You do have to actually meet a daily goal, and you can see today I have met my daily goal of 608 points out of 500, and I'll probably go on quite a bit beyond that, but the daily goal I've only done for 26 days in a row, so you kind of have two different streaks going on at the same time. I'm currently working through the Fluency Fast Track, and you can see I'm about 32% of the way through it, and of those I have mastered 10% of the course. So presumably that would be about 740 some words. I've been working on learning Greek for about a little over a year and a half now. So, I probably know quite a bit more than actually 700 words, but, of the course that I've completed in this case, I've only logged 700 as being mastered. And I haven't marked any of them directly as mastered. I've just kind of worked through them regardless. So I actually like this app quite a bit. I think it can be very beneficial. They generally say it's not a great way to begin learning a language, that it's more of something that you do once you've gotten a little bit of experience. Other courses that I have worked on are in here. I've actually just tried these out. I've not really done a whole lot of work on them. Latin was one that I wanted to do a lot of work on. You can see Espanol at the top, Spanish, then Italiano or Italian, Latin, of course, Latina, and Ivrit is Hebrew, but the main one that I've actually done work on is Hellenica, or Greek. They have quite a few languages that you can choose to learn from, but a lot of these reviews on this have already covered that kind of thing, so mostly I want to do this review not so much to review the languages, but just to say whether I think that it is an effective app for language learning or not. And my personal experience of doing, I usually do about 100 reviews per day if I can. When I first started doing it, I went a little bit crazy on it, and I was doing like a ton of work every day and not really making sure that I learned each sentence so much as I was just doing the sentences to get through them, which, that is a technique, that is a method, but I think for this particular app, it's better if you actually spend some time making sure that you can understand the sentences that you're listening to. Some people like to just go through and only do the one word that is being selected for that sentence and make sure they know that. I started out that way, actually, and which is why I went through so many words right away, but eventually I started thinking, I really want to be able to understand the spoken language. So when I hear it, I want to make sure that I understand it, and then I go on. So that's been reflected in the fact that I've slowed down quite a bit, but I'm still, working quite a way through it. So I do about 50 new words per day normally. You can see today I've done 0, but I have a lot of reviews that have collected up. So because of that, I haven't really been following that technique, but my normal method is to do about 50 new sentences per day. And then, of course, a lot of these sentences are very repetitive. It's not like I'm doing 50 new words per day. That would be way too many. There'd probably be, probably 5 new words per day would be a lot, but I'm just doing 50 new sentences per day, and of those sentences, each word that you get introduced to is going to appear at least 4 times. So, as a word, I think that you select. So, because of that, that's why it racks up so many sentences. But it actually does say, I think, that for like this course, the 7,000 words is normal. This, I guess, just turned sideways, so I apologize if you're having to look at it that way. Once I go back to the other screen, it will flip back around, but I need it like this to read for you what I'm doing. But so you can see it says the 500 most common, 1,000 most common, 2,000 most common. That's not entirely accurate. I'm not sure exactly how this works or how they're doing that on here, but you see sentences under 500 most common, and there's 316 sentences. Maybe within those 316 sentences, it covers the 500 most common words. I'm not sure exactly, but it goes all the way up to 50 greater than 50,000 most common words, and that's you can see the number of sentences in each section is like 678, 562, 441, 396 sentences. Obviously, a sentence is made up of a number of words, so maybe it's just saying that it's pulling from vocabulary that is located within the top 500,000 words or whatever they say. So the number should expand as it goes up. But I'm going to do one review. So typically I try to do the reviews first. And the reason I usually do about 100 reviews per day is because that's how many it takes to get through all of the reviews. I usually go through the reviews and then I go through new vocabulary afterwards, or whatever. It doesn't really matter how you do it. If you just click play without being in reviews, then or in the review section, then it will do like half and half. So you'll get half reviews, half new sentences. But for right now, I'm just going to click on the review category to show you guys that. I have these set up exactly the way that I usually want it. So you can switch over to radio, and this is for the paid version. Some of these things are only available on the paid version. But for the Greek course, which is what I have on here, the voice is computerized. It's not my favorite thing about it, but it's not awful. And some of the courses like Italian and Spanish, and most of the more popular courses, they probably actually have real native speakers that are speaking. So you get the accent, the inflection of the voice. All those things are very good. I know for the Latin course that I was doing, they have no voice at all. It's strictly reading. I don't like that. I think that there needs to be a voice. Even if it was classical pronunciation, that would be better than nothing. I would prefer that they use ecclesiastical pronunciation for it, because the reason that I learn these languages is because they have a religious significance to me. So for Latin, that is the language that has been continuously used in the West within the church, and it's not really always been used outside of the church. So the church is the continuation of the language. So whatever that is, that is the people that use this language. So to use any other pronunciation or try to formulate and make up something to go back to, it's just getting silly with that stuff, in my opinion. But for this course, you get the computerized voice, and there are different ways to set up the settings on the radio. So if I click on the radio and I want to go listen to some of this, I can just click listen and it will go to it.
Δεν έχουν ιδέα για αυτό που σκοπεύω.
Okay, so if I click pause, it'll automatically run through this. And you can even set it up so it will read the translation to you. So it'll say, δεν έχω ιδέα για αυτό που σκοπεύω. So they have no idea what I intend for this. And then it will go back and repeat that again. But you can change the settings. I actually like going through this quickly. That's what I like about this app. And that's why I like it way better than Duolingo. I don't think Duolingo is bad, and I think Duolingo probably is the thing to do through the first few checkpoints to prepare you to be able to do this particular app. But Duolingo is very slow. So, you spend 5 minutes working on Duolingo, and you may only get through, maybe a dozen sentences. Well, with this app, you can do that per minute. So it's probably 5 times as faster. And, if you're doing 5 times more sentence reviews and 5 times more vocabulary, then you're going to get much quicker results. You're going to get a lot more exposure to the language in a shorter amount of time where you're actually understanding the sentences. So, if you don't understand Greek, this may not make quite as much sense to you. You kind of have to take my word for it. But then, every time I click forward, I can get δεν έχω ιδέα για αυτό που σκοπεύω. They have no idea what I intended for this. If I understand it, or I'm missing a word or something, then I can glance down at the translation and then just quickly go through it.
Μπορείτε να σηκωθείτε.
Okay, I need to understand what that's saying. Move on.
Ο Τόμ δεν είπε στη Μέρη για τα οικονομικά του προβλήματα.
Same thing each time.
Αυτά τα παπούτσια ανήκουν στον Τόμ.
Maybe I take a moment and I have to listen to it again.
Αυτά τα παπούτσια ανήκουν στον Τόμ.
I can click pause and play and pause and play, and each time I make sure that I understand it. And it's going to go through 20 words in that case. So when I normally go through the review, and okay, I'm going to go back to that one more time. Review, go to the radio.
Δεν έχουν...
So you can go up to this thing in the top right-hand corner, the little gear symbol. And this is where you can actually change a lot of aspects to it. So right now you can see at number 1, I have it set to go to text. Then there's a pause, then read the text again, and then pause. So you can remove the pauses so it'll just read the text right away. I prefer to have the pause in there so that like if I'm driving, I can hear it and think about it for a moment. And then if I'm actually just reviewing on my own, I can move on. But usually I actually don't use this as much unless I am driving. Then I will actually just listen to it. But not a ton. Not a ton. But you can actually put the translation in there. I have removed the translation. But to put the translation in there, you would, at the top where it says plus translation, you would just click that and it would add it in there and you could adjust it to whatever section you wanted. But I'm going to get out of that and go to the review section and show you what I normally do with it. So in these reviews, I have it set up. There's vocabulary, and it will not read it until it will not read it to you if you have that set up until after you've answered the question. So I actually, for the same reason that I want this to be quick, I want to be able to go through these very quickly and then review them on my own at the end. And so this whole program for me is beneficial because of the amount of vocabulary and vocabulary in context within the sentences that I can get. So I have this set up to maximize that aspect of language learning. So I'm going to click play and go through a few.
Στο παλάτι μένουν ο βασιλιάς με τη βασίλισσα.
Okay, so if I understand that, I move on. I couldn't actually hear what she said, or it would have read it to me, but I know the sentences. Στο παλάτι μένουν οι βασιλείες με τη βασιλίασα. Βασιλίασα. So in the palace, the king and the queen, I answer the question.
Στο παλάτι μένουν ο βασιλιάς με τη βασίλισσα.
Okay, and I can kind of move on.
Αισθάνομαι καλύτερα σήμερα.
I actually can't hear what's going on when the recording is on, so like you guys probably hear it really well, but from the recording aspect, when the recorder's on, I can't hear what the person says, so I didn't hear any of that. But I'm going to click view. I could listen to it again if I wanted.
Αισθάνομαι καλύτερα σήμερα.
But I didn't really get it. So αισθάνομαι, I feel better. αισθάνομαι
καλύτερα σήμερα.
Okay, and then so I move on. It'll kind of mess up my numbers, but I'm going to exit out of this right now and see what it brings up. Oh, it didn't finish it. Shoot, I wanted to show you guys. If you go to the end of one of these...
Ο Τόμ δεν είπε στη Μέρη για τα οικονομικά του προβλήματα.
Just bear with me for a moment. I'm going to move on through this whole thing. Ο Τόμ δεν είπε στη Μαρία γιατί... He didn't tell Mary about his financial problems. Οικονομικά.
Ο Τόμ δεν είπε στη Μέρη για τα οικονομικά του προβλήματα. Με δουλεύεις.
Oh, you're working on it. It's like you're working on me. They say, are you kidding me?
Με δουλεύεις. Είπα στον Τόμ να μην χρησιμοποιήσει εκείνους.
Είπε στον Τόμ να μην χρησιμοποιήσει εκείνους. Okay.
Είπα στον Τόμ να μην χρησιμοποιήσει εκείνους.
And I apologize if, this is kind of tedious to listen to.
Νομίζω ότι είσαι καταπληκτική.
But I do think I really want to be able to show you the aspect of this that I really use a lot at the end of one of these lessons, and the only way to get that to pop up is to finish a lesson. So, νομίζω ότι είσαι καταπληκτική. Καταπληκτική.
Νομίζω ότι είσαι Άσε μας να συζητήσουμε.
Άσε μας να συζητήσουμε.
Άσε μας... Ούτε εγώ μπορώ να τον εξηγήσω.
Normally, I would listen to all of these each time and not just fast forward through them, but because I know some of you are waiting on me, I'm trying to get through this quickly. Ούτε εγώ μπορώ να τον εξηγήσω.
Ούτε εγώ μπορώ να... Το τσάι μου είναι πολύ γλυκό.
Το τσάι μου είναι πολύ γλυκό.
Το τσάι. Το έχω υπό έλεγχο.
Έχω υπό έλεγχο.
Το έχω υπό έλεγχο. Ποια εποχή σου αρέσει καλύτερα?
Ποια εποχή? Εποχή?
Ποια εποχή σου αρέσει καλύτερα? Κλείστε τα βιβλία σας. Κλείστε τα βιβλία σας.
Okay. So you can see I've gone through one complete lesson now. There was only 10 setups in there. But once I go through those, this is where I actually do the reviews. I don't use the review thing that I showed you at the beginning so much anymore. Usually I do a lesson and then I come down here and I quickly go through these. So speed is of the essence with this and for me and the why I see it as being beneficial, but
Ο Τόμ δεν είπε στη Μέρη για τα οικονομικά του προβλήματα.
okay, so either I understood that or I didn't. If I didn't, I glance at what I didn't understand and I do it again. If I did understand, then I move on.
Με δουλεύεις. Είπα στον Τόμ να μην χρησιμοποιήσει εκείνους. Νομίζω ότι είσαι καταπληκτική. Άσε μας να συζητήσουμε.
Okay, so usually I go down these twice, just like that. There's 10. It takes not very long. So like, a couple seconds per sentence. And I just, go down the list. If I don't understand it, I play it twice and make sure that I do understand what was being said. And then I go down the list again a second time and with the same thing. But I only do it twice. So basically, when I bring the sentences up, I have 3 times that I hear it. Well, actually, I'm sorry, I have 2. So it brings it up and immediately it reads to me, and either I understand it or I didn't. I answer the question, and then it reads it to me again after that, which you heard when I was going through it. And then it reads it to me again after I answer the question, so there's 2. And then, once I've finished it, I listen to it 2 more times because I go down this list twice. If I go down the list and I understood everything really well and it was a pretty easy lesson for me, then I probably don't go through it a second time. But, I'm still hearing it at least 3 times then for that. So that's what I really see as the benefit of Clozemaster, is this aspect where you get a lot of sentences that you can draw understanding of because it gives you the translation there and you see how that comes up. One thing I didn't really show a lot of, though, that I think is a really good feature, and I'll do one more thing here. Just one sentence. So,
Έφτασα στις 2:30.
Έφτασα?
Έφτασα στις 2:30.
Okay, so if you click on each individual word, it's έφτασα στις 2:30. 2:30. But you see it brings up, and you can see what the meaning of the word is. If you actually highlight this, it uses Google Translate, so it will actually give you the sentence down there. It says loading right now. In a moment, it'll actually load the sentence. Well, presumably it will. It's okay, so I arrived at 2:30, and I think that's the translation that they have in there. You can also get the Wiktionary down there at the bottom that gives you some details about it. I rarely look too much at that, but I do. Sometimes it's hard because I don't understand exactly where the vocabulary is coming from to make up a sentence if there's multiple words in the sentence that I don't understand. So that can be a little bit of a challenge, but typically I do. In this case, maybe there's a word somewhere that I don't, so, that would be beneficial in that case. I have used that, so it's good to be aware of. But basically, that is it. As far as my review for this goes, when I began using this, I had a few books on my phone here, like easy reader books type things, and where are those at? So since then, I have been reading Peripetero, and you can see, like, I have one chapter of the book pulled up here, and I will say that after using this for about, I think, 6 weeks or so, I don't know if it's quite that long, but βρέχει, φυσάει και κάνει πάρα πολύ κρύο απόψε. So it's going to be very cold tomorrow. I think it's raining, and it will be, and a lot of rain will be coming tomorrow, or cold will be coming tomorrow. So, γι' αυτό κάνεις δεν είναι έξω. Because of this, don't go out. So I don't know exactly where this is headed as far as the story goes, but I understand a lot of the vocabulary. If I read this down as if I were just reading normally, I would actually pick up a lot of this. And I will say that when I began reading this particular graded reader book, I didn't understand enough to be able to really follow what was happening in the story. So that made it very difficult. And since I did that, since I've been doing Clozemaster for the past like month and a half, about whatever 47 days or whatever I had on there was, a month and a half would be, I mean, that's about 40 days. So, 47 days in a row. So, I got about, almost 6 weeks or around 6 weeks. So that'd be 30 plus 15 would be 45 days. Yeah, so, about 6 weeks. So I can say that I've actually made a noticeable amount of progress in 6 weeks, and having that graded reader there as something to reference is a pretty good determiner for that. Hopefully, as I get maybe like halfway through the course, I'll start to find those graded readers and things that I'm working on a lot easier. Going through 150 sentences per day in this, and then I also, try to do a little bit of active immersion as far as like just either watching a show or listening to an audiobook where I read along with the book. Usually that's from the Bible. I have a modern Greek Bible, and so I do that. It's free. I'm just reading it on the internet. But things like Link would be good to do along with this, I think, as well. But right now I'm not purchasing 2 things per month. I mean, only doing one. So for the next few months, it'll be Clozemaster, and eventually I'll probably go back to using Link again to see if I get better results with it. But so my review then for Clozemaster is to say that I think it is a very useful tool, especially for languages where you don't have a lot of easy or access material in those languages. Clozemaster can be very, very beneficial. My experience with using it for the Latin course is that they really need to get a voice on there. They can use the same Google Translate voice, which is free. It pops up on Google Translate. And I think that's basically what they use for the Greek course, which I might be wrong about that. But if they put that in the Latin course, it would be really good, and I would probably begin using it regularly now, and I would probably continue using it until I finish the Latin course. But once I finish this Greek course in probably the next like 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months, it does use a spaced repetition, so even after I finish the course, it won't actually be finished. I'll have to go on and finish maybe 3 months after that, because that's how long it takes to get through the full spaced repetition to 100%. But it gives you each one four times. So once you get the answer correct on a sentence one time, it'll show up again the next day for the spaced repetition. And then I don't know, I think it's like 2 weeks or something after that, or a week. I can't remember how many days it is. They actually explain that somewhere on here. Oh, Lord. I probably should have looked that up before. They explain how their spaced repetition system works. Right now, I'm looking at this sideways so that I can tell you about that, but I don't remember where it's located at. So, I don't know. Maybe I have to actually play one category. I will say that if you look at the upper right-hand corner, there are currently 4 dots, and that represents whether it's 25%, 50%.
Πόσα πληρώνουν τον Dom?
Oh, so this is a new sentence. And it doesn't give you, though. Maybe if I answer the question,
Πόσα πληρώνουν τον Dom?
Πόσο πληρώσουν?
Πόσα πληρώνουν τον Dom?
Okay, so I clicked on... Okay, so get a sentence correct 4 times in a row to get it to 100% mastered. Each correct answer sets the next review date further in the future. I think the last review ends up being 188 days, so I'm not going to go through that. But, if you search Clozemaster reviews, there are a couple things out there for review. Okay, so here it goes. 1 day, 10 days, 30 days, and then 180 days is the point where they determine that it has been mastered. So that is pretty good. I don't really mess with these settings a lot. I just kind of leave it as is, especially since I'm trying to understand entire sentences each time. But this has been beneficial for me. I think it is a good app. It's, done a lot more for me in recent times than any other language program that I've been using for learning Greek. So that's it. You guys take it easy, and I'll talk to you in a video coming soon.